You share your planet with no one. No other kind of human walks the earth. You are the last of your line, and you have never once thought it strange. But this is the exception. For almost the entire history of your species, you had company. Not pets, not livestock, but other people. Other kinds of human, with their own faces, their own tools, their own ways of burying their dead. And there was a time, not so long ago in the deep arithmetic of evolution, when at least 6 different human species breathed the same air at once. Picture it. Around 300,000 to 40,000 years ago, the world held more than one answer to the question of what a person was. In Europe and Western Asia walked the Neanderthals, thick-boned, cold-adapted, with brains as large as yours or larger. Across the mountains and steppes of Asia moved the Denisovans, a people we know almost entirely from a single fingerbone and a few teeth pulled from a cave in Siberia. On the Indonesian island of Flores lived Homo floresiensis, an adult human barely a meter tall, nicknamed the hobbit. In the caves of the Philippines, on the island of Luzon, was Homo luzonensis, known from a handful of teeth and foot bones with a strange mix of ancient and modern traits. Deep in a South African cave system lay the bones of Homo naledi, a small-brained human who may have carried its dead into the dark on purpose. And there was you, Homo sapiens, one species among many. How do we know this? The evidence does not come from imagination. It comes from dirt, bone, and chemistry. The Denisovans were identified in 2010 by the geneticist Svante Pääbo and his team, who sequenced DNA from a fingerbone in Denisova Cave and realized it belonged to no human group ever seen before. Pääbo would later win a Nobel Prize for pioneering the recovery of genetic material from ancient bone, a field called paleogenomics, which simply means reading the genetic code of the long dead. The hobbits of Flores were unearthed at a site called Liang Bua in 2003, and they overturned what scientists thought a human could be. Homo naledi was pulled from the Rising Star cave system in South Africa by an expedition led by Lee Berger, the bones squeezed out of a chamber so narrow that only the smallest researchers could reach them. These are not stories. They are catalog specimens sitting in labs and museums, scanned and measured and argued over. So sit with the strangeness of it. There was a morning tens of thousands of years ago, when the sun rose on a planet where being human did not mean being one thing. Now let me put you inside that world. Imagine you are standing on a ridge in what is now Central Europe, around 50,000 years ago. The air is cold and dry. Below you, a river valley cuts through open grassland dotted with mammoth and wild horse. You are part of a small band of Homo sapiens, newcomers to this land, carrying tools of finely worked stone and bone. You move quietly, because you know you are not alone. Across the valley, a thread of smoke rises from a rock shelter. That fire is not yours. It belongs to the Neanderthals, who have lived in this valley for 100,000 years before your people ever arrived. They know every cave, every game trail, every season of this place far better than you do. They are not the dim-witted brutes of old cartoons. They make glue from birch bark by heating it with careful control of temperature. They wear pigment. They bury their children. Some of them, in caves in Spain, painted on walls tens of thousands of years before your kind reached Europe at all. You will meet them. We know you met them, because their DNA is inside you right now. If your ancestry is European or Asian, somewhere between 1 and 2% of your genome is Neanderthal. Pääbo's team proved it. The meeting was not always violence. Sometimes it was intimacy. Sometimes a child was born who belonged to both worlds, And in 2018, researchers identified the bone fragment of a teenage girl from Denisova Cave, whose mother was Neanderthal and whose father was Denisovan. A first-generation child of two different human species. She existed. She had a name we will never know. This is the world of 6 humans. Not a battlefield of monsters, but a patchwork of peoples, overlapping at the edges, trading glances and genes, and occasionally tools across the boundaries of species. And here is the twist that should stop you cold. You probably assume your kind won because you were smarter. Bigger brains, better minds, sheer intelligence, sweeping the competition aside. But the bones do not say that. Neanderthal brains were as large as yours. Homo naledi survived for a very long time in Africa with a brain only a third the size of yours, and may still have performed something that looks like ritual. Intelligence, in the simple sense of raw brain power, was not the dividing line. The other humans were not failures. They were not waiting to be replaced. Several of them had thrived for hundreds of thousands of years, far longer than your own species has yet managed to survive. So why are you the last one standing? The honest answer is that scientists are still arguing. The anthropologist Chris Stringer, one of the leading voices in the study of human origins, has spent decades cautioning against the simple story of conquest. The picture that is emerging is messier and stranger. It seems your species spread in larger, more connected networks. You built wider webs of trade and contact, exchanging objects and ideas across hundreds of kilometers. When climate lurched, as it did violently in this era, the more connected, more numerous, more flexible population had the edge. Not the smartest, the most networked. The most able to pool knowledge across distance and generation. Let that reframe how you see yourself. Your superpower was never the lone genius in the skull. It was the connection between skulls, and that quietly is the thread that runs straight into your own life. You did not invent the language you are reading. You did not discover the fire that warms your home, smelt the metal in your phone, or work out the mathematics humming inside its chips. You inherited almost everything you know from a vast, invisible network of other minds, most of them long dead, handing knowledge forward across thousands of years. The anthropologist Joseph Henrich has spent his career arguing exactly this, that the secret of your species is not individual brilliance, but the collective brain, the accumulation of culture passed hand to hand until no single person could ever rebuild it alone. Strip away that web, drop you alone into that cold European valley with nothing but your own wits, and you would not outlast a Neanderthal for a single winter. You feel this even now. The loneliness of the modern world is in part the ache of a creature built for the network feeling the threads fray. You were shaped over hundreds of thousands of years to live inside a dense human connection, to learn by watching, to survive by belonging. That hunger did not switch off because you live behind a screen. The same force that carried your ancestors past 5 other kinds of human still moves in you every time you teach someone, learn from someone, or pass a fragment of what you know to the next person in line. There is one more thing to feel, and it is heavier. For 300,000 years, there were many ways to be human. 6 faces around the same fire of existence. And then, one by one, the others went out. The Neanderthals faded around 40,000 years ago. The hobbits of Flores vanished. The Denisovans dissolved into the genomes of the living. Within a relatively short span, the world went from a place of many humans to a place of one. You are not the proud winner of a contest. You are the lonely survivor of a vanished family, the only branch left on a tree that was once thick with cousins. So when you wonder why you feel singular, why no other mind quite matches your own, why human loneliness runs so strangely deep, remember this: it was not always so. Once you could have looked across a valley and seen another kind of person looking back. Once being human was not a solitary fact, but a crowded one. You carry the others inside you still, in the 1 or 2% of your blood that remembers a different face, in the deep wiring that aches for connection it was built to expect. You share your planet with no one. No other kind of human walks the earth. And the strangest thing of all is not that you are alone. It is that you are alone, and you almost never feel the absence of the 5 who are gone.